this.
Let's
Hello.
do this.
Good morning. Hello, everyone. How are you today? Good. Bad? I hope it's better. That's okay.
We'll talk about some media, and maybe that will...
That's right. So let's start that over. I'm Courtney. I'm one of the teen librarians at the Addison Public Library.
I'm Rachel.
Also one of the teen librarians at the Addison Public Library.
Yes.
And you have stumbled upon the Addison Public Library Twitch channel. So thanks for joining us. This is Book Buffet, where we talk a bunch about books and other things that honestly that you can get at the public libraries, specifically our public library, but maybe also wherever you are. So hopefully you're with us. But we've got a pretty special month. This is March. I was deciding whether to say March or month. And it was getting really close to month. It was not going to be great. So we have a very cool thing that we do in March where we do Media Madness. It's sort of our rip on March Madness. And we kind of have a big bracket that we put together with that puts books, video games, movies, and music head to head, and then eventually they all come together and they battle for dominance.
The one media.
The one
the
media.
Top media
To rule them all.
of 2024.
Yeah, we choose things that came out in 2024, with the exception of one particular thing that came out January 5th, 2025. But we decided that we decide what goes on the bracket.
We're the bracket officials.
We're the bracket officials. So we are here for that. So yes, thank you, Purple Mud, for popping in and providing all the assistance on the back end.
But since each bracket only can have 8, there's only 8 spaces.
Yeah, for each category.
For each space.
So we're doing the full round of 32, which if you tuned in on Tuesday, you would have been here for our Media Madness stream. So we're streaming every Tuesday evening with each new round. And we had our first round where we went through everything on the bracket. So we have a full 32, which means that there's 8 books, 8 movies, 8 video games, 8 music albums. But yeah, we have to be very selective.
More than that comes out in a year.
It's just a bit more.
Yeah.
Like maybe 1 or 2 things more. And there's certainly a lot of really great choices that like we can't include when we would want to include them, but for various reasons we decide to do it a different way. So that's what we're going to do today is we're kind of going to go over what didn't get on the bracket and also kind of why. So our bracket starts off with books, so we could talk about books. The way that we chose the books on our bracket was that we selected, we asked for the top 10 most circulated items by Addison patrons in young adult books, graphic novels, and manga. They were also asked for the adult as well, but I didn't have their list. So these are ones that we didn't decide to go with for various reasons, which we will explain upon to you.
Yes.
So which one do you want to talk about first?
I think let's talk about this one, because this one was a very highly circulated book in the past year. It's called What's Wrong? Personal Histories of Chronic Pain and Bad Medicine. And it is a graphic novel. We have it shelved in graphic novels and also in nonfiction. So yeah, it's got like illustrations and little personal stories.
It does look like it seems that all of them are like written stories about these, but then have a larger illustration with it. So it goes, This is one too that you saw it on the list and you're like, oh, I want to read that.
Yes, this looks very interesting. I can see why it was popular. It looks like a fairly easy book to get into. But yeah, we didn't really want to include nonfiction. We were going with fiction. We were kind of leaning more a little bit towards fiction. But also we felt that this would not go far with the young adult teen crowd. And they're certainly going to be some of the biggest voters
in that regard. So we were kind of like wanting to get something that would have general all-around appeal.
Yeah.
Whereas this would be a much more niche and focused appeal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it looks beautiful. I love books like this because you get really deep dive, or not really deep dive, but you get a very clear perspective of somebody's experience.
I love this.
What does it say?
Jesus loves me, this I know, for he gave me Lexapro.
There you go. So
It's fun.
It's fun. It's
also being about like a very like heavy topic.
Right, and it's a bunch of personal histories and stories. So there's going to be a wide range of experiences in that. So really, we highly recommend it. It just was not a good fit for the bracket.
Not a good fit for the bracket, but
yeah,
maybe a great fit for your reading life.
Right. Let's pull the other graphic novel one.
Sure.
This was. Now, did I want this on the bracket? Absolutely. I am a Tolkien fan. However, like, we've read The Hobbit a million times. So this is The Hobbit, an illustrated edition for the fantasy classic, and it is a graphic novel, which it is quite a very pretty graphic novel, I will say. Man, I could just get lost in this one, really. So if you're the fan of The Hobbit and you really like graphic novels and adaptations, this is a very good one to go at. Here is a new one, and it is beautiful. I need to double check and see if I purchased it for myself. I don't remember if I did.
It looks already well loved.
It really does.
When did we get it?
So the fun thing is that we actually have 2 copies in the library. We have a copy of this in, I think it's actually still in new.
Okay.
But then this copy in particular is part of our Quick Reads collection.
Oh.
So yeah, it goes really fast. So Quick Reads collection is a great little collection that we have for books that have like high interest, but are shorter or easier to get through or like read in its own way. So like The Hobbit itself is a longer story, and some people may be struggling like with the terminology and the imagery and everything, because Tolkien tends to ramble just a little bit, like
struggle
little bit.
I struggle a lot with all of everything.
That is fair. Whereas that's true. Whereas with the graphic novel, it cuts out a lot of like the exposition and the descriptions because that's in the imagery.
Yeah. I don't need a chapter on the grasslands.
Yeah, and instead you have a lot of
illustrate it for me.
The dialogue, and there's certainly a lot of narration here, but it's significantly easier to digest.
Yeah.
That there's
a lot of rambling.
Just a lot of rambling in Tolkien.
That's some people's jam.
Some people's jam. I personally absolutely love The Hobbit. So like this is 100% for me. But if you're like, Tolkien is, I want to pull out my hair, this might be a good way to consume it and like enjoy the story without getting so frustrated at Tolkien's writing methods. I wonder if I would love it if they did like a full Lord of the Rings, because then we do not have to spend 3/4 of a book talking about a single tree.
Yeah.
So there you go. So we decided not to put this one in because The Hobbit is a classic. It's not really new. Yeah, the graphic novel is new, but this didn't really fit the popular stuff. However, it was the most circulated item.
Yeah, in the graphic novels.
In the graphic novels. So like, though this was the top circulated item, which I can agree, good choices.
Yeah.
It did not fit. So that's why.
That's why.
Ultimately, that's why.
Let's move on to YA fiction, and I can talk about this one, and you can talk about this.
Yes, I sure can.
So wait, which one is the 2024 one?
This is the new one.
Okay.
So this is an interesting one because we originally put this one on the bracket.
We did originally have Nothing Like the Movies in the bracket, because it is a young adult romance, and young adult romance is very popular here.
And very fun.
Very fun. It's popular with our teens, it's popular with adults. But then I realized / remembered that this is like a whole series, and this is a follow-up to Better Than the Movies. and we didn't really want to put a sequel in.
Yeah.
Specifically, and some sequels in romance, it's like you don't have to read, they're about a different person, or a different couple. But this one is a continuation of the story.
So, oops.
Yeah. So then we took it out, we subbed it out.
That's how we got Hunter, whichever one it is. Heartless Hunter.
Which is another, it's a dark fantasy romance, but yeah, this would have been a more contemporary romance. But yeah, it was very popular, better than the movies, was very popular when it came out. This one was also popular. But yeah, we didn't want to put something on that you kind of have to have read the one before it to get into it. But
yeah.
Better than the movies. The actual plot of these is I believe, like, girl next door, and in this one he woos her with rom-com tropes.
Oh yeah.
And then I believe, so they're together at the end of this one, and then I think in this one they have, like, broken up and are maybe gonna, like, rekindle. Yeah. So sort of spoilers, but
yeah,
there is a happily ever after, and then this is like what if we just, like, looked into the future a little bit? What happened? Like, maybe they have, like, a second chance with each other.
True enough. So it hits a lot of, like, rom-com tropes and a lot of movie tropes.
Yeah, I mean, you can even see on the cover.
It's even in the covers, like, you've got like the...
What is that one? Dirty Dancing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's the Dirty Dancing one. There's the one where at the end he's holding up the speaker.
I don't remember. But
we don't know.
We all know what that one is. But this one too, we've got Titanic.
Oh yeah, that's from The Notebook. That one's the Notebook one where they kiss in the rain.
This is that other one that I don't like. What is that one?
The other one that you don't like? What are we talking about?
It's the Christmas one. Say Anything.
Oh, yeah.
Is that Say Anything?
She's Not You.
The radio, the boombox one. And then what is the one with the signs?
They're Singing in the Rain.
It's a Christmassy one.
And then it's the Christmassy one that is totally blanking on me that my aunt will be very upset with me about.
Yeah. With, like, that has, like, a whole bunch
everybody and their cousin in there, and he stands there with Say Anything is the one with the thank you. Now get this one.
Yep, the radio one.
Now what's the one where he stands in front of Keira Knightley?
What is that one called?
Who is married, and he, like, has the signs, and he's like, pretend and say that it's carolers and that you know I love you and you're beautiful and all that stuff. Love Actually. That's what it's called.
I know it was another, like,
word.
So yes,
there's a lot of great actors in that movie, but not a lot of great storyline.
Yeah,
some are phenomenal, but not a lot of them are. Anyway, it is a fun movie though. So yeah, we didn't choose that one. Well, I mean, we originally chose that one because it was a romance, but we ended up not choosing it because it was a continued sequel. Yeah. Much in the same vein, another one that was highly, highly circulated was Reckless, which is the sequel to Powerless. These are fantasy. The slowest of burns. It's like it's so slow. It's the slowest burns. So this story follows Peyton, who is in this world, in the city that she lives in, sort of like medievalish kind of fantasy world. It's in a fantasy world. Everyone in the city has a superpower. And there's some people who have stronger powers and people who don't have stronger powers. The ones who are weaker are called mundanes, but everyone has a power. People who don't have powers are called ordinaries, and they are persecuted and killed.
Shocking.
Guess who Peyton is? Peyton is an ordinary who is pretending to be a psychic. And everyone's like, well, I've never met a psychic before. And she's like, yep, so you don't know what you're looking at. And she passes off pretty darn well. But then in the book, they have the purging trials, which sounds very similar to, like, the Hunger Games. But, like, in this one, technically no one has to die. It's just that people tend to die. And she gets selected to join into that because of reasons. So now she's like, all these people have superpowers and I don't, and now I have to fight and struggle and, like, try and survive this thing while also keeping my secret. Also, the princes are hot. And, like, I keep getting distracted by that one's eyes. And, like, so much of this book is staring at each other's eyes and just slow burning, constant slow burning. So much slow, it's like it doesn't resolve. It keeps going. So I just finished the first one, as per recommendation from a teenager who was very persistent in making sure that I read it. She'll be very excited that I'm finished. And I actually started the second one, which is actually a big deal, because generally if I'm like not wooed by the first one, I don't go into the rest of the series. So I really actually liked it. Like, I have my criticisms and I'll make fun of the thing, but it's actually really good.
Yeah, and it's very popular.
It's very popular, so much so that one of the best circulating items is this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's golden. And I think the third one is coming out next month.
Oh.
So by the time that rolls around, I'll be done with this one.
Well, there you go.
So yeah,
That's
and the Reckless is absolutely like the middle in the trilogy, from what I've been looking at. A lot of people are just like, it's kind of just a bridging story.
Yeah, just setting up for the.
But you kind of
That's
need
why
it.
I like duologies.
I do too. Like, there's no bridging.
Set it up, finish it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I do know for sure, slow burn.
Yeah.
Like, this thing is smoked.
And you have to have read Powerless to even begin to understand.
Absolutely.
So,
It literally, this picks up that day.
yeah.
So like this one finishes on quite a note, and then it's like, and then 2 seconds later, this one starts up. So yeah, it's
So not
gnarly.
not a great bracket fit, but
Not a great bracket fit. Like, if it was Powerless, it would be a phenomenal bracket fit.
yeah.
But because we have a sequel and what's required on that, like, it's just not a good lineup.
Yeah.
So that's why. But also, you're welcome, kiddo, who has been telling me to talk about it forever.
Yeah.
So, got you.
All right, our final book
Yeah, now we're going into like the manga.
misses are the two manga.
Yeah, these are just some of the
This is
mangas
one.
that were up there. And really, both of them, we did not choose them for really the same exact reason. So there's the Disney Twisted Wonderland. Thanks for dropping in. So happy to have you here for the little bit that you were here. So this one is Disney Twisted Wonderland. So it is like a twisted story of Alice in the Wonderland. Honestly, it looks really cool.
I was getting like Kingdom Hearts.
It
vibes.
looks a
Is
little
it
Kingdom
not?
Heartsy.
Oh, it's not.
I'm not
Okay.
sure though.
I don't think so.
I've not dived too deeply into it, but honestly,
You-
just from like the art on it,
Swiss
like-
away to Night Raven College in Twisted Wonderland. I don't think it's Kingdom Hearts.
no, but it looks very similar. It is produced by Disney, so it does have like that clean lines to it. And I think there's a lot of mix and mash into that sort of thing. Like you kind of see, look at that. But yeah, so what does the back say on that one? So, Yu is whisked away to the Night Raven College, an arcane academy in the world of Twisted Wonderland. Stranded until he can find a way home, Yu is allowed to stay on campus despite having no magic of his own. But when his friends land him in trouble with the head mage, his future at the school looks bleak. Now Yu's fate hinges on bringing together a pair of argumentative first years and a fire-breathing monster cat, which is grand by itself.
Yeah.
So the item that was on the top circulated list was number 3,
Yeah.
and we now have up to number 4. So it was
'cause
not.
This where's your publication information? 2023 is when the first one came out.
Yeah. So it's newer. I think it would have been a really fun one to do. But generally with manga, I try and also pull ones that like kiddos are talking about,
Yeah.
or like that if I'm a bit familiar with it, I know that the kids know.
Yeah.
And that one I wasn't aware of it, and also like it was number 3. We went with manga that was first volume.
First volume.
And
Yeah, something
admittedly, they were manga
fresh.
that we weren't familiar with, but they were first volumes, and we wanted to do that. I also liked having like a manga and also a manhwa. So those are 2 different cultures and like narration styles, and I kind of liked having that bit of diversity too.
Yeah.
The other one was Solo Leveling. Which is incredibly popular, and if it was the first one, I absolutely would have put that up. But it was volume 8. And I can tell you it's so popular that, like, our first 3 volumes are checked out. This is volume 4. Like, so this was originally like a webtoon, so it's all color illustrations, and it's really good. My nephews love these, and they are older. So this is a story about Sung Ji-woo, who is a weak hunter, and hunters are sort of like people with paranormal like superpowers that hunt monsters. And he's like super weak, and he's just constantly just surviving every situation. He's just like struggling, like at the skin of his teeth, he's making it. And he somehow miraculously survives a dangerous double dungeon. So it's just like extra issues.
Within a dungeon?
I guess I've not.
Or you leave a dungeon into
It's more on like a dungeon by itself is really bad, and then like it was a double dungeon, so it's like extra super dang bad.
Okay.
So then this program called the System kind of goes, I like it, and chooses him to then have this
chosen one.
Yeah. So chooses him to then have the ability to then level up. So solo leveling, he is the only one who has this ability. Nobody else has it. And so he can continue to get more and more powerful. So he starts off very weak, but then he just keeps on getting progressively stronger. And then there's like more chosen one-iness, where it's like he is destined to be like this necromancer king thing. I don't even know. But now everyone's just like, but I want that. So they're like gunning for him. It's pretty cool. It's a action adventure. I know there's really cool fights.
Yeah.
I know it gets like fairly gruesome, but it's a grand one, and it is very, very popular. Yeah. So like if we were looking at like the first, sure, or even if like the bracket was bigger, I'd probably pop it in there.
Yeah.
But it just did not match up with where we were with things. So yeah, solo leveling is pretty good. Give that one a try if you like those sorts of stories.
All right, so that's books.
That's books. And then we went to movies then? Is that right? Yeah, then we went to movies. So movies, we pulled from, maybe that one. We pulled from box office results, and then also decided.
Box office, we wanted them to be mostly family friendly. Watched by the majority of people who could watch them.
Yeah. So like, for example, oh, thank you for that. I'm gonna just take care of that one. So yeah, we wanted to go more family friendly, and so like things like The Conclave, though highly acclaimed and certainly was an Oscar nominated film.
Did it win adapted? I think it did.
Yeah, because this is adapted, right? We're gonna do some quick researching.
I mean, it was nominated in several categories.
It certainly was. It had a lot of factors going for it. Highly acclaimed. I do know quite a lot of people checked it out. I literally handed it to somebody myself.
Yeah, Best Adapted Screenplay is what it won for, but it was nominated for Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Best Original Score, Best Production Design, Best Costume Design, Best Film Editing.
Yeah, and it was fairly well liked overall. But the reason we didn't pick it was, one, it didn't really match all people would really like it.
The tone.
The tone didn't really match. No teenager was going to vote for this.
Yeah.
In a million years.
Popular.
It didn't match the full scope on things, and also compared to what we the other items that we chose, it did not make it that well in the box office. It was like fairly down there compared to all the other films. Yeah. So that's why we decided not to go with Conclave. Which, if you're not familiar with Conclave, it is a series of stories surrounding, there's an investigation and a series of stories surrounding the different cardinals who are in running to be the next pope.
Which is a super secret
super secret process, so and it's like within that process.
A look within, an imagined look within, because
that's right.
It is fictional.
That's right. Yes, it is. Definitely, there's several things that happen in the film that has not happened historically.
That we know.
Well, there's an explosion. We would have known. That we know. But I do know that a lot of people really like it.
Yeah.
Or appreciate it.
I do want to see it.
My mom watched it. She liked it.
Yeah.
So it's on my to-watch list. Stanley Tucci's in it, so I'm already gonna watch it.
I might want to do a movie night.
Yeah, give it a shot.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? It'd be interesting. So yeah, that's why we didn't go with like Conclave. And honestly, there was only one film on our bracket that was nominated for Best Picture for the Oscars, and it didn't win. But the reason why none of the others were on the bracket was simply because they weren't high enough on the box office list, and they just kind of didn't match right.
Oscars and box office, I feel like, are two different...
Very different things.
Very different things. Sometimes there's crossover, but yeah. Another one we did not put on was Dune Part 2.
This one was fairly high on the box office.
Yes, this is one that is maybe more of a crossover. It was very popular, Oscar nominated, Oscar winning. Again, I don't remember which ones it did win, but it's a sequel, so that, we're like, it's a sequel. It's also not the sort of movie that our teens watch, I would say.
It's kind of like too long and like too niche, I suppose.
For our specific demographics.
Yeah, for our specific demographics. This is very much like a we know our community decision on this one.
This is not like a pizza movie night.
Yeah, a different community should absolutely put this on your bracket. It wasn't a good fit for ours.
This wasn't a good fit.
At least not that we thought so.
But we have it.
But we do have it.
You can check it out.
Can I also say that, like, does it not look like Zendaya, like, forgot to open her eyes when they were, like, taking the picture?
Well, her eyes are closed, aren't they?
I don't know.
I don't know. I have not seen the first one nor the second one. Maybe there's a reason why.
Her eyes are open there.
Her eyes might be closed on the cover.
She has eyeballs.
She has eyeballs.
As far as I know.
Dune 2, the movie where Zendaya has eyeballs. That's all I know about it.
That's the subplot.
Another one, and this one is maybe the one that was closest to making it on, is The Wild Robot.
And I think really the only reason was that it did not hit high enough on the box office.
Yeah, there were just other ones that were more popular, and when we asked kids in the space about the movies of the past year, I don't think this was one that they brought up.
Admittedly, that's kind of how Mufasa got on the bracket, was because we had multiple kids saying, Mufasa. And I'm like, oh, real? Okay, all right. Mind you, Mufasa did very well in the box office. But like, all right, kids, all right. But yeah, this Wild Robot is kind of special to us in particular because we also selected the book for a summer reading choice. Like, I don't want to think about that. About 4 years ago. And like that's kind of cool to us that it's now has a movie. When it was announced, like we were sending each other like a million messages, just like look what's there. And it's very good. So
I had mixed feelings on it.
Oh my, golly gee!
I thought the pacing was off.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair.
It went a little too fast. I like a quick movie, but this one was like, let me sit with.
That is fair. Yeah.
And also, this might be spoilers, but Roz disrupts an entire food chain.
I was noticing that.
It's just, I know it's not reality, but like they tried to make it reality. You can't have, no.
Yeah.
Tried to have its cake and eat.
You kind of have to suspend a level of disbelief.
It is gorgeous, though. It's gorgeously animated.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so this is Roz the robot is shipwrecked on an uninhabited island and must adapt to harsh surroundings. Gradually, Roz starts to build relationships with the animals on the island, including a clever fox, and becomes, who is voiced by Pedro Pascal, and becomes the adoptive parent of an orphaned gosling named Bright Bill. So yeah, I've not watched it yet, but I have seen a good number of clips on
Wall-E
socials.
vibes.
Yeah.
What's the other one that it's been compared to? I don't remember.
Yeah.
But, you know, a robot out of water.
A robot out of water, which is generally where they should be.
Yes.
Unless you have an aquatic water robot.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where we're sitting with the movies. Then we went to our video games. The video games bracket was a combination of like several lists of like best video games of 2024, and also like my personal expertise with video games and what I know people are playing, and a little bit of bias. Little bit of bias.
We are the officials.
That's right.
Even in the March Madness bracket, like, they decide which teams get in and where they're seated at.
Yeah.
And there's some wiggle room. It's not like an exact science.
And I would say that, like, I think my ballot bias was a little bit balanced because, like, I decided not to include a game that I knew would get a lot of votes. And I also decided to not include a game that I wanted to be on the bracket.
Yeah.
So the one that I knew would get a lot of votes, but I did not include, was Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Reasons why. It's a Call of Duty game. We know what that is.
Yeah.
Like, there was nothing special about highlighting Call of Duty Black Ops 6. It's everyone who plays Call of Duty knows what Call of Duty is. Anybody who doesn't play Call of Duty knows what Call of Duty is. Part of what we like about the bracket is sometimes you're able to introduce people to something that they have no idea what it is. And maybe it opens up a whole new world on things. I recently have learned about Dochi. So now I'm like listening to Dochi. So like we kind of want to do, there's a combination of let's put things on the bracket that people will vote for, which is how NBA 2K25 is on there. And then let's put things
that people like sports games.
They do, and that's okay. I don't know what my favorite saying is. To be totally fair, what is yours? And also, thank you for joining us on the chats. So I think my current favorite saying is, we're going to do the best we can with the best we got. And that's, I'm working on it.
That's what we're doing here.
Yeah, so with this game in particular, I know it is well loved and it is well received. It certainly did very well this year in particular, but we just didn't need to advertise it in any way. And yeah, there were other games that were very fun that we wanted to highlight, and honestly, they've been getting a lot of like great engagement on our video games. So Call of Duty Black Ops 6, it's a good choice, but there were other things to do and we had such a limited bracket to put on.
Yeah.
Other games that, all right, so to balance that one out to the game that I wanted to do something with, and that was the Plucky Squire. Oh, you like that saying too? I think it's a helpful saying, just to like remind you that sometimes bad things can be happening, but we're still going to do the best we can with it. So the Plucky Squire is, this is why I like printed this off. So it is centered around a heroic Jot who is kicked out of his storybook by the villainous Hump Grump. And he is forced to explore and face challenges both within the storybook and outside the world while trying, because Hum Grump is rewriting his story. And he's like, oh no. Like, he's making himself the hero, and like, I'm the hero, and he's the villain. And it bounces in between like 2D, like flatter view on the storybook, and then like a 3D in the real world, and he's bouncing back and forth.
Like OG Mario and Mario Odyssey.
Kind of, yeah, like bouncing between the two of them. It looks so fun. I've not played it yet.
Yeah.
This one, part of the reason I didn't go for it is that it's not caught the attention of the kids just yet. But also it's currently on order.
We don't
Yeah,
have
it's
it
on
in.
order.
Okay.
So it's like
maybe.
it will be in our collection. We wanted to pull specifically games that were in our collection.
Yeah.
So this is going to be in our collection. It's not there yet. You can put it on hold, which is grand. And I am saving it for maybe a Let's Play in the future.
That seems like a Let's Play.
Because it's about stories and we're a library. You know, like why would we not?
It also is giving like Wreck-It Ralph vibes.
A little bit of that,
Yeah.
a little bit of puzzly, and like a little bit of adventure-y.
Yeah.
But like it just, I'm very excited to play this one, and I think it's a great choice. And it's a great family game. I
Did
just
it come
don't think
out,
it would.
like late
It
last
came
year,
out
or
September.
okay?
So, but it wasn't released like on consoles till a little bit later.
Okay.
So which is why it took a little bit longer. Or at least I think that's right. I could be thoroughly wrong.
But yeah, released in September, which would not have given it a lot of time to like be played.
Yeah. So
Before,
it's there's different issues with it, but I think it's a great choice, and I think it's a good choice for you too if that's the kind of things that you would like to play. So another game that was not selected, I'm not even gonna bother with that one. That one was so complicated.
That's why we didn't select it.
That's why. It was complicated. Another one that had a lot of attention during like the Game Awards was Black Myth Wukong. If you've seen like any videos of the gameplay of this, it's so pretty.
Okay.
It's so
Not where I thought you were going.
pretty. No, it's gorgeous.
All right.
It's absolutely stunningly beautiful, and like the gameplay looks so nice. It's a game based on Chinese mythology, and it is based on the Chinese novel Journey to the West. You play the Destined One, who is a monkey who fights with a staff, and his role is collecting the 6 relics corresponding with Sun Wukong's 6 senses. So Sun Wukong is the very famous figure in Chinese mythology. And he's just going against huge enemies and epic battles. Like, this entire game is very epic, and there is a massive fan base for this game that was incredibly outraged when Astrobot won Game of the Year.
Yeah.
They very strongly believe that Sun Wukong should have won, or rather, Black Myth Wukong should have won. It's gorgeous, but it's the same issue of, like, it's a little less, like, all-around family-friendly, a little too niche on a thing, and none of the kids have been talking about it. The one that I chose not to do was Metaphor Refantazo. Tazio. Can never do that one right. Kind of the same thing. It's a very niche game, really gorgeous and phenomenal in its own right, but like it just wasn't right for this community.
Yep.
So we decided to go with a different like decisions on those parts. And again, if you wanted to see what decisions we did put on our bracket, you can pop on to, well, actually currently the last stream that we have is going through our entire Media Madness bracket, and then we'll also have it on our YouTube too. So if you want to vote too, you can do those things. So how about you start talking about movies, or music rather. So how did we go for the music?
Music, we looked at albums that came out in 2024. We did consider Grammy nominations, Grammy wins. Did we look at Circus Stats? I don't know if we did for this. I don't think we did.
No, not for this
we
one.
looked at the in library. We did like a Spotify Wrapped at the end of last year. Just had kids write on Post-it notes, top artist, top song.
Oh yeah, that's right. Spotify Wrapped. We did
so
that.
So we looked at some of those to see which ones we were seeing more often.
Yeah, which ones were popular, because we wanted to highlight those as it goes. So, and that's fun to do when they see like their favorite creators like on the bracket board. So it's good.
Yes. So one person who did not make it onto the bracket, who has probably been on like all of our other brackets, to be honest, is Taylor Swift. Specifically her album The Tortured Poets Department.
Yeah.
Which did come out in 2024. Was of course very popular. It's actually checked out. We have the physical CD.
We do.
In our collection. This is also on Hoopla, which is where I get most of my music.
Yeah.
But she didn't win any Grammys, and honestly, she's not that popular here.
We had Taylor Swift on the bracket last year, and it started a bit of a civil war in the library amongst teenagers.
She was getting not necessarily like troll votes, but like whoever she was up against was getting troll voted.
That's true. Because like people, in majority, people were like, oh, I really don't like Taylor Swift, and they would vote against her, which was kind of like unfair in a different way. And then there were some kiddos who were just like, I must save her, and then it was, there was a lot of sticker fraud. There was voting fraud.
So because we had plenty of other contenders who, truly earned their spots, I think, in the bracket, it was easy to say, like, let's give her a rest this year.
Yeah, and also the kiddos who, like, really love her were getting really upset that people were very against her. Yeah. So we didn't want to put them through that either. Yeah. Also because certain ones really didn't need that this year. Yeah. Some of those kiddos really needed some niceness this year.
Another person who had a lot of popularity in 2024 was Sabrina Carpenter with her album Short and Sweet. Yeah. Our kids just aren't as into Sabrina Carpenter.
Oh, really? No.
I think she could have definitely been on the bracket. I think she could have fit into the pop bracket against either Billie or Rosé, but
probably against Billie in that regard. Billie Eilish is in there. I do like having Rosé on there though.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's just not. She doesn't win, and I think she'd be great on somebody else's bracket for sure. Yeah. But it just wasn't a good fit for ours.
I also just want to show we do have CDs. Physical CDs in the library, and these two we do also have them, but they're checked out. But I wanted to show people who are like, wait, what? Do you really mean that? A CD? Yes, I really mean.
We have CDs. We also have a lot of our music we have in CD, but we have a lot more in our digital services through Hoopla. Hoopla is fantastic if you're not familiar with it. It is an app that you can download on your phone. I was using it an hour ago on my way here.
All the time. That's when the summer that the Barbie movie came out, I was probably 30% of the Barbie movie soundtrack checkouts on Hoopla. Yeah. Because you have it for a week, so I would check it out on Monday morning. We would listen to it in the car for the whole week. It would get returned. I would check it out again the next Monday morning.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of nice. And in a way, it's like you don't walk around with CD players anymore. Yeah. The portable CD players didn't work well to begin with. But it's not really used technology anymore. But you do walk around with your phone, and most people have headphones in all the time now.
Hoopla I think is a great alternative. Yeah. If you're Spotify's great.
Oh yeah.
Spotify, but for Apple whatever Music, reason, Pandora, whatever it is, for a playlist to hear a bunch of different musicians. Yes. Hoopla's no, I want to listen to this album.
Yeah, just this.
I want to listen to this.
Without
person.
ads. No ads.
No ads.
No ads.
No shuffle. It's in the order you want it to be in.
Yeah. Yeah, don't get in the way of me listening to Doechii.
Yes.
And what's really nice too is that Hoopla in general has, to explain this, our digital libraries work very similar as our physical libraries, where there is copies of a digital item. So when that copy is checked out, it's unavailable until it's returned. Very similar to physical ones. Hoopla is more similar to Netflix in style, where everyone can be consuming the same item at the same time. The difference,
it's a different account. Yeah.
As long as it's a different account. But you are limited to 10 checkouts a month, which honestly is a lot more than you would think. Unless you're watching episodes of a TV show, in which case you might want to slow down there. But it's an option. So Hoopla's got e-books, e-audiobooks, music, comics,
a lot of comics on Hoopla,
magazines. There's movies, TV shows, tons of stuff is on there. We're big fans of Hoopla.
I do love Hoopla.
Gotta love a Hoopla. Like I said, I'm currently listening to Reckless on Hoopla. Now there are some items on Hoopla that act the same way as the physical items. But those things you can also put on hold, and it'll let you know when it's available. So that's actually how Powerless is an itemized thing on Hoopla.
Only so many copies of it. Yeah.
But I was surprised that Reckless wasn't. So there you go. But then there's something to say that literally every copy of Powerless that we have is checked out right now, and we have many ways to consume that one in many different ways. And then most of the stuff of Reckless is currently in. So maybe people are like...
I think, Powerless is like just hitting its moment.
Yeah, because the new one's coming out soon.
Yeah.
So I think people are just starting to like reread it or like start to read it, and they're like timing it so that like when they get through Reckless, bam, you have the new one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will say the audiobook for those, real good.
Cool.
Yeah. It switches
great
perspective, and they have 2 different narrators for the different voices.
Oh, I like that.
Yes.
But yeah, the great thing about digital media is you don't have to worry about returning it on time.
Oh, I love it.
Your phone will do it for you.
Yeah.
The app will do it for you.
Because notoriously bad at returning things on time.
I have so many overdue books at my house.
Statistically speaking, whether it has been or studied or not, librarians are the worst at returning things on time across the board. There may be somebody who's like, I'm a librarian and I'm always earlier on time. How?
Yeah, how?
Good for
How do
you.
do that?
I don't understand you on a basic level, but good job. So yeah, those are the different items and things of like why we didn't choose to put them on the bracket. If you are curious about what is on the bracket, in case you've missed our Media Madness, the last stream that we've had, which was on Tuesday, was our Round of 32 Media Madness bracket overview. We'll be on again on next Tuesday. Is that the 11th? Maybe. What day is it? Whew. Okay, so next Tuesday, March 11th, we got a really busy day because we're starting in the morning with a Let's Play.
Oh, okay.
We're doing Let's Play Something Relevant. So we'll be playing a video game that you can check out at the public library, and you can play. And we'll just be playing that for a little bit. And then later in the day is our second Media Madness stream. So that one is at 5:30. Is that when we do it?
Yes.
Yes. So that one's at 5:30. And Rachel and I will be back with our Sweet 16. So we'll be revealing the results of this week's round of voting. And if you are like, I want to vote for what is on this list, good news. Follow the link.
Yes.
So
online form, you can vote for all of them. You can just vote for the ones that you like super care about.
Yep. And then next week we'll reveal on Tuesday. We'll reveal on Twitch who is next
and the new matchups.
That's right, and we'll have like a little bit more time to talk about each of those items. And then the next round of voting kicks off all over again. If you're on our socials, follow us on the socials. You can actually start voting earlier on
Monday.
socials and everything.
Yeah.
Those tend to go out on Mondays on our stories. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. We're looking forward to it. So yeah.
Busy month.
Busy month. So hopefully we'll see y'all on Tuesday. Busy Tuesday. All right, everyone. We will see you later. Have a great day. Bye.